Welcome to Keyframers, the animated collaborative coding livestream where we bring imaginative user interfaces to life. I'm your host, Stephen Shaw, but you may know me as @Shashaw.
And I'm your host, David Khourshid, also known as @DavidKTNO.
And together we are coding compadres, animation amigos, Boolean buddies, and keyframe companions.
So we'll be creating an animation from scratch live using HTML, CSS, and of course, a little bit of JavaScript.
And this show is made possible by your support. You can pledge at patreon.com/keyframers or subscribe at twitch.tv/keyframers. Links are available below, and you may even earn a special shout out during the stream.
Yep, please ask questions. We're happy to answer them. So reach out in the chat or YouTube comments or anywhere.
That's right. How you doing today, David?
Waking up still.
What time zone are you in?
I am in, whatever time zone is Taiwan. I'm in Taiwan right now.
That's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Doing anything exciting while you're out there?
Yeah, I went to night markets, tried some interesting food, like delicious food, but also very interesting food.
What were some ingredients of said food?
Tofu, lots of tofu.
Lots of tofu. That's good.
Yeah, but they have this thing called stinky tofu.
I have heard of this. Did you try some?
So yes, I did. I was sort of, dared to, as you are.
Yeah. And
just gotta.
How did that go?
It went. It's interesting. And I tried a whole bunch of other things that they didn't tell me what it was. They just said, eat it. And so I did. I didn't question them.
You don't want to know, kind of thing.
Yeah, basically. One of those things.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, before we get into animating, I wanted to cover a few things real quick. So from our last animation, Payment Picker, where we did two parts, the first one being setup and then the second one where we added the interactions, we got a couple different pieces of feedback from a few different folks. Jacob E. @Erickson_DK on Twitter wrote in with a nice tip for us on the jagged edges. I think this is more a Windows thing or certain versions of Chrome and Firefox where with a 3D transform you end up with some kind of weird looking edges that look a little jagged. His tip is to add outline 1 pix solid transparent. So it's just a transparent outline, tricks Chrome and Firefox into smoothing that edge. I've run across that one before, but it's always a good little tip to remember. So thank you, Jacob. And then on the video for part 2, Feardrop, who wrote in before with a great tip that I'm forgetting at the moment. He wrote in with a fix for the kind of jump we were having with the drag interaction. In the original, whenever you would let go, the animation would restart kind of at the center point rather than at whatever state you were currently in, and so Feardrop wrote in with a simple fix that actually removed a lot of the code from the RxJS portion and made that quite smooth. So thank you for doing that. I incorporated that in the final pin that you can see at Payment Picker Part 2. Put that link in the chat. But yeah, that was a couple nice little feedbacks to have. Okay. Yeah. The only other thing is for tomorrow evening, we'll actually be having a special stream I'll be doing a talk at the CodePen Houston meetup, and I'll be talking about some animations, and you won't want to miss that. So if you are in the Houston area, come on out for that, and if you are not, you can catch it on the stream or catch the video after. And yeah, with all that said, do you want to talk about what we're doing today?
Yeah, sure. So we're doing sort of a simple animation today. I just want to get into, some of the details that we've covered in previous episodes too. Basically, we're going to be transitioning this really cool image gallery, and sort of choreographing. Well, it's not so much choreographing, but more like simultaneous animation of both the image description contents and the actual image itself. And so it creates a really nice feel, just going back and forth between the images. And yeah, so we're also going to be talking about doing like slider animations. So you could see, I don't know if you're showing the GIF or not.
I've got it.
So at the very bottom, there is a yellow line, and the yellow line highlights each selected image, and it transitions smoothly from image to image. Now, if you remember in previous episodes, when we have something that goes from point A to point B, and we don't know what those point A to point B's are, then you could use transition. However, when it goes from point A to point B, you don't know what those points are, nor do you know if it's going to be the exact same physical elements, like it might exist on separate areas, and you don't know exactly where it's going to live. Then you could use the flip technique, and so we're going to be doing that.
That's right.
This episode too.
And this animation is Team Profile Transitions by UI8. Going into our favorite extension, GIF Scrubber here, we can see that all the little micro interactions, the content as it's fading out transitions to that nice yellow color. We've got the line moving to each photo. If you look closely, you can see how in the navigation down there, the click event causes a nice little push-in animation on the image. We've got some desaturation of the images in the navigation. And then this nice big sliding transition. And if you notice on this transition from Patricia Ruth to Barbara, they're actually not side by side. They're skipping one, but it's still transitioning in the main image like they're side by side. So we'll cover a little bit about how to do that as well. All right, shall we get to it?
Sure.
Okay.
We're starting some stuff.
Yeah. So we've done just a tiny bit of setup here, mainly picking out the photos and getting a little bit of content population plugged in, and then just a tiny bit of content, or a tiny bit of layout, I should say.
And that's how we start most episodes, just tiny bit of everything.
Yeah.
No animation specific stuff, more just like what you would do if you're starting out and you just have the very basic layout set up.
Right.
So that's what this is.
Yeah, so going over the styles really quick, or going over the HTML really quick, we have our app container with UI big image div with all of the images in there, and then UI thumbnails in there. That's going to be our navigation down here at the bottom. And then UI content is just all of our paragraphs down here. Okay.
And I'm going to add another, what I'm going to do, and this is in preparation for later, are UI thumbnails. Each image we're going to wrap in a UI thumbnail, and we're going to add another element. Can you guess what that element is going to be for?
Is it going to be a label?
No. So it's for the slider, the sliding bar underneath.
Yes.
So I'll just set that up now and then we'll talk about it later, but that's going to be one of the highlights of this episode is just how we would accomplish the dynamically moving underbar, I guess.
Is there a better name for it than underbar?
There really isn't. I think that's the official accepted name.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'm gonna add some wrappers around big images as well.
Yeah, sure.
Because of the scaling animation that's happening.
Yeah, and in general, it's always a good idea in your HTML to wrap your images in some sort of wrapper, even though you think you might not need it. You would be surprised how often you end up needing it, or you want to do something like adding like before and after pseudo elements, because you cannot do that with a plain image tag. In fact, there's a number of elements that you can't do that with. Image tags, input tags, which I wish you could do with input tags, but you can't. So just get in the habit of writing wrappers for these things.
Let me see. Did we break something? Our
yes.
layout seems to have gone away.
I will blame you.
Okay, yeah, I changed UI big image to UI big images, but I've updated that in the CSS, so I'm not sure what's happening there. Let's see.
What did you do? Or was it me?
Images. I'm gonna say it was you. Did you change something about the thumbnails?
Well, yeah, I did.
Is it just Z?
Here I'm going
Z index.
Oh, maybe I forgot to close the tag. UI thumbnail, UI thumbnail. No, they're all closed. Like, where's this big image coming from?
Looks like.
What the heck? Oh, yes. Okay. I know what happened. Basically, I was targeting
you and your direct descendant.
yes.
Targeting.
And actually, it's a good thing to do because your layout changed. So, of course, your CSS should be invalidated if your entire layout. I don't know. I'm trying to justify myself. Okay. So yeah, wait, still. this needs to go up here. So, UI. Oops. .ui thumbnail needs to be like 100%. Okay. There we go.
Yeah, I did
and then
the Z index on it, but it's not necessary.
Actually, this could go. Okay. Broke it again. Fixed it again. Boom. Okay, so we could just remove that. Oh, right. Some restructuring going on, but I think we're good now. Right? We're good.
Yes. I think we're at the spot we want to be.
Okay.
That okay. All right. So let me see. Width left 50%. So UI thumbnails we should actually set to width 50%.
And just like in previous episodes, we're going to be using what's called the position 0 isn't a thing, by the way. Did you know that?
Position 0?
Position 0, that's how awake I am. Absolute. It's like the vodka.
Oh dear.
Okay.
Oh dear.
But anyway, we're going to be using what's called a layer technique. Or actually, we're not.
Right.
Or are we?
Well, we were talking about this a little bit earlier.
Those thumbnails. Those poor thumbnails.
Well, so that our thumbnails aren't overlapped by the content there.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, so this...
That works?
I'm actually going to see if removing the height is plenty.
But yeah, previously we talked about the layering technique where you position absolute everything.
Yeah.
So Yeah, I mean, we're doing that right now for the images at the top, just because, of course, they fill up the entire space. But
Right. So if we take position absolute off UI big image here, we will see the very first image. I believe that's the first. Yeah, the first one is right there at the top because the others are getting shunted off to the side. If we do display flex here, we can see all of them lined up side by side. Now, instead of position absoluting, what we can do with our UI big image is set width 100% like we have, and then margin right -100%. And then we have all of our images overlapping. If I do opacity 0.5, you can see a nice mishmash of all those different photos going on. And we can do this same technique down in the content area. So let's see. UI content, we have them all overlapping right now. So UI article is what we want. Well, let's see. UI content, display, flex, and this will line up all of those contents side by side once we remove position absolute from them. And then, yeah, you can see how they're all overlapping. And then we do margin right, -100%. And so what a -100% margin is doing, the margin is actually calculated based on the width of the parent. -100% is moving all of the content after it back over on top of it because it's width 100%. So we get that nice layering effect, but we also get the added benefit of not having to set a specific height, because now our parent is going to conform to the height of the tallest element. And yeah, I think that's...
Yeah, I think it's a cool technique. Don't you?
I do.
He's like, yes, I made it.
Yes. Well, we were shortly discussing this earlier, and that came to mind, and surprisingly, it worked quite well. So let's see. Just adding one.
So these thumbnails, I wonder why they're not going all the way, like stretching the entire width of the...
Stretching the entire width?
Yeah, UI thumbnails, yeah,
you've got padding on the thumbnail.
Oh, because there's a... Just kidding. Yeah. There we go.
Oh, no, we do want that. We do want that width 55%, because that's preventing it from going behind the content. If you...
then here, let's do this. Ready? Padding right, 45%. Boom, we'll be in the middle.
Yep, that's fine by me.
Yeah, and then this UI thumbnail, that padding needs to stay. Yep, there we go.
Yeah.
And so if you inspect those, it's basically each thumbnail is getting full height, and that's so that we could position the... I found a better name, cuticle. Cuticles, because we have thumbnails and we have the cuticles, right? The base of the dead skin under the thumbnail. So that's the cuticle.
I get you.
And that name is going to stick.
Oh, geez. Okay. Well, for our actual content transitions, and that is gross. For our actual content transitions, are you wanting to use inputs or state machines, or how would you like to handle this?
Let's just do it straight up JavaScript, because it's a simple amount of JavaScript, and I guess we should give each one like a data key or something. Yeah, let's totally do that. Data key. And then that way I could write a utility function that targets like whichever one is active. So let's say let's current state or whatever. Let state equals photo, and then we have IDs from. Are we starting from 0 or 1? Let's start from 0.
Yeah, start from 0 because that's how computers think.
Mm-hmm. That is how computers think.
5. Right.
And then we're gonna have function send event. And so it's not going to be a very strict state machine, but it's just going to be whenever we have two possible events. We have previous and next. And so all we're going to do is increment or decrement the photo ID, or the current photo key. And just we want to hide, or we could toggle a class, right? Or should we do?
We can do a data attribute. I've got one set up at the top. Data state. We could change that to data active or whatever.
Yeah. So here's the thing. In previous episodes, we had like data state, and then data key related to data state or data for state or something like that. However, that meant we had to hard code all of the states in the CSS, which is less than ideal. And this is something I wish that CSS had, where you could say, hey, if this child data attribute matches this parent's data attribute, then consider it selected. But unfortunately, CSS doesn't have that. So instead...
You want to just do a class?
Well, instead...
if we do a class targeting for the sliding back and forth, might be a little bit easier.
Right. But I was going to think like you could do a class, or you could do like a data attribute, so like data active.
Oh, sure. Yes.
Yeah. So. All right. So basically, whenever we send an event, let's so documents.query selector all data active. All of these we're just going to remove. I think it's remove attribute data active. And then
that's not going to work on
oh, sorry. For each L. I keep forgetting that. Array.from. Yeah. And then over here, so if we have prev, then we could say that state.photo equals mat.min state.photo. Oops, photo. We could do the cycling later. Case next, just because I can't think of it right now. State.photo equals mat.max. State.photo plus this should be mat.min. That is actually mat.max. Max for min for max. And then that would be the all right, so let's do this. Let's los photos equals that plus photos. Well, it's technically las photos.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Or whatever, L photos.
for
our
element,
non-Spanish
right?
speaking. Yeah, and then L photos dot length. That's what I want to do there. Yeah, so break default break. So basically, if we have previous, subtract 1. If we have next, add 1. And then we're going to update the state of our photo. So our photo goes from 0 to, in this case, 5. And then we do documents.query selector data key equals, I should put that in template tags, data key equals whatever the current index is, which in this case is going to be state.photo. And we're going to add the set attribute, and we could do data active true. Right? Yeah, I believe that's right. Okay, cool. So let's see if this works. You have some buttons set up, so I'm going to reference the button. So const
Yes.
lprev equals document. Man, typing that is so painful. Documents. No wonder jQuery was invented.
Yeah.
Jeez. Okay, so we have our previous and next buttons somewhere. So ID equals. I'm giving them IDs. Deal with it. So prev, and then L. Next, darn it.
Actually, yeah, you're right.
Next equals document query selector. Next, and so both of these are just buttons. So I want to make those buttons L thumbnails. Oops, sorry, I moved your cursor.
No, you're good.
So L, and then we could do like L pre button dot add events listener. So when this is clicked, of course, we're going to send an event. We're going to send prev. So this is very similar to like the state machine patterns that we were talking about in previous episodes, where it's a lot better. Like even if you don't understand like the whole concept of finite state machines or whatever, just this whole event action states pattern, where instead of doing things in the event handlers, just send events, right?
Yeah.
It makes your app so much more scalable. Just send events. Don't do any complex logic or whatever. Like the most you should do is maybe events.prevent defaults or something like that. But most of the time that's even unnecessary. So what Shaw did over here was, he's just sending the key of whatever is clicked, whatever thumbnail is clicked, and so we have something that handles that. So we could directly select each of the images. Now, just to show that this is gonna work, hopefully, you named it UI Big Images. All right, so by default, we're gonna do, actually, no, not by default. I like being explicit, so I like doing
I'm down around line 84 doing that. Sorry.
You mother. Wait, what? Line
84-ish.
Well, why are you doing it down there? Why not do it
to group all of the state controls? Because
Okay,
we're going to have to start doing animation and all of that.
Fair enough. So this should be there. Oh.
Let's see, one. And then that can go away.
All right.
Okay.
Cool. So let's click through and make sure that this works. Yep. Wow, beautiful. Hey, I'm going to set up some automatic transitions. Just.
Yes. Okay. Where are you doing that? Oh, did I lose you, David? David has not been having good internet connection capabilities, so we'll see if he comes back.
Transition.
There he goes.
Timing function. My favorite one. And you know what? I might quiz people the next episode, like what's David's favorite cubic Bezier thing. It's always 0.50, 0.51. It's simple and it's smooth. Like just like milk tea.
Is that a thing?
It is a thing. It's a thing in China. It's a thing in Taiwan, and it's delicious. It's literally tea with milk, but it's just great. And so we see our next and previous buttons are working. Sort of.
Yeah, next doesn't seem to be working, or there might be an issue once once a thumbnail is clicked. I'm opening up the console to see what's happening.
Okay, time for debugging. We should have like debugging music, like just special music that we play while we're debugging.
I think we need to parse state.photo as a number. I forget the. Isn't there a way using like bitwise operators or something? Because it seems to be when you're just adding one to it, and it was a string, it doesn't want to.
I'm an idiot. So
it should be math.max, right? No, math.min.
No, it's math.min.
Yeah, that's right. So. Photo plus equal plus 1.
Okay. Next, oh, so state.photo equals here. Let's see if that.
No, it's something with this here. Console.log state.photo console.log console.log next state.photo plus 1. Let's see. Oh, L photos dot length is not what we want. It needs to be L images dot length.
What? Where do you have L images from? We have L photos here, and then
at the very top, or right above that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh wait.
So L images is
L active.
Yeah.
Photos. And actually, there should only be one active, but we're just going to do
the thumbnail. The thumbnail will be actives. The thumbnail will be data active too, won't it?
Okay, right. So L actives.
And
so I was using the wrong thing, but yeah, now it all works.
Yes, seems to be working.
Yeah. Well, if you go all the way to the end and you click next, then everything just
so that needs to be limages.length minus 1.
It does. Man, JavaScript counting by 0, starting from 0 instead of 1, just screwing things up. Okay, so this whole data active thing, the way we set it up, we could actually target the contents as well with relatively little effort. And so we could do that by data key as well, right? Want me to add that? I'm going to add that to the HTML. So should I use data key?
Yeah.
Same? Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah,
so
and then
data key equals like
but
0,
this needs to be updated to document.query selector all array from
3 4 5. Then we're just going to have similar CSS for the so .ui bg image .ui article, and so .ui article data active. Cool. So now we have different contents showing for each photo. So at the bare minimum, this works. This is great. So,
yes.
So actually, I'm going to do something different here. Capacity 1. Clean this up, because what I want to do is, you see how we have each of the cuticles under the image?
Yes.
So as a bare minimum, all I want to do is like show and hide those cuticles, depending on which thumbnail is active. So I guess we have to add data keys to the thumbnails. We already have that.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm guessing the UI thumbnail. The UI thumbnail is also getting the data active attribute as well. I'm guessing. All right. Now, funny enough, with this one, we're going to have, what's the CSS filter for black and white?
Filter saturation.
Or grayscale.
Or grayscale, yeah.
Okay, so we'll add that. So for the active UI thumbnail, actually the UI thumbnails should be all grayscale, unless of course it's selected. So filter grayscale 100%.
Were you
or grayscale 0?
And then filter grayscale 0% on the active one. Yep. I did it all around line 95.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I can remove my code. No worries.
I'm keeping all these together.
Okay, fair enough. So for this, we could do and when we hover it, it also is going to get that, just so that the user has a clue as to what's about to perspire, which is...
Well, it would be and data active.
Ah, right.
And then that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'll work.
And so with the UI cuticle, what we want to do is display none or display block, and I'll explain why in a minute. So just going to be display block, and so for starters, UI cuticle is going to be display none, and that's because we're going to be using flipping, and flipping knows when something is not, and so that's how it determines whether something is active. But as for now, we have everything working.
Yeah.
But the animations aren't exactly, they're not exactly as it shows in the original animation.
Yeah, I think it's close enough. You've been watching Keyframers,
the
collaborative.
No.
Yeah. It definitely could use some work here. So
yeah. So if you want to do that, I'll set up flipping.
Yeah, I'll start getting that going. So UI big image, we're going to transform, translate x negative 100%, and then data active UI big image transform, translate x 100%.
Yeah, it does that cool little scale out, scale in thing. Well, and then it does a directional thing if you want to do that.
Right, that's what I'm getting set up right now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, okay, so all I did here, the default state for UI big image is translated off to the left, whichever way my webcam has it flipped. So it starts off on the left side, and then if it is after the active one, it's translated off to the right. So that way, if the new one coming in is on the right, then it slides in that way. And that allows us to have our nice back and forth kind of animation, and just like in the original, when jumping from Patricia Ruth over to Barbara, it still looks like they're side by side, because we just have that same translating happening. And you are throwing me back and forth.
Sorry, what am I doing?
Are you changing the HTML? Is that what's happening?
I had some data attributes, but
okay,
I'm done.
Okay. It just kept bouncing back and forth.
Sorry.
Nah, that's cool. That's cool. So UI big image, and then for the scaling effect, let's take a closer look at what's happening in the animation. Okay, so it's kind of zoomed out and then scales in. So why don't we do UI big image, display block.
Here. All right, so you're on line 92. I sort of want to copy what you're doing for the content, because we're going to need to do that.
Oh, yeah.
Or unless you want to do that.
It's whatever. Let's see.
Actually, I'm literally copying.
1.2.
Like right in place.
That's fine. We can move the image transition bit to its own area. Let's see, UI article.
Right, so we
is
have,
that what it is?
No. I used to be able to type, in the good old days, TTX, and have that automatically expand to transform translate X. I cannot do that anymore.
Yeah.
It pisses me off.
Okay, I got a little bit of that effect happening.
Oh, I just screwed up the article one. It's not that UI article. So transform.
Oh,
none.
Where did you?
Or,
oh, see, I was just updating that all in place, or in. Oh, you actually separated it out. Okay.
yeah, just because we might want different effects. Depends on. But man, where are my articles now?
So they need opacity 1 here as well.
Okay. Yes. So that's going to be the difference. Is that the articles, they do not change opacity.
Oh really?
Yes. I'll explain.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's the article. Weird. I can't click anything. Oh, the articles are. Oops, I forgot to do. Yeah. That
articles needs.
It's actually that UI contents because I am bad at naming.
Oh, but overflow hidden removes the buttons.
That's okay. We could padding top like 2 rems and then just have to. Actually, no. That also doesn't work.
Yeah.
Oops. Shoot, what did I do? Oh, you know what we could do? Okay, it takes a little more nesting, but we have the UI contents, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as I should have done, UI articles. And then I'm going to place all the articles inside that UI articles, and then we could
I'll
overflow hidden that. Oh my god, it's huge.
There we go.
Yeah, overflow hidden.
Yeah, that's already good to go.
All right, good to go.
Yep.
Beautiful. Wow, that was fast.
Yeah,
okay.
We're pros. We got this. Come on.
Nice. Okay. Gonna copy this over here. Just because there's a really cool color effect for the article that I want to capture.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
And yeah, I'm going to use pseudo elements for that. So.
That's all right by me.
MP4 content. Let's see. 0.2%.
Working on the UI thumbnail effect.
Going to be that gold color, whatever. Background color, gold. Boom. I know it's a terrible color.
Oh dear.
Right now, because I'm using CodePen Gold. You know, the same color that's at the top of CodePen. I'm using that same gold. Anyway, this is going to be opacity 0. So you probably see where I'm going with this, is that when the article is active, that before is going to be opacity, oh, wait, just, sorry. It's opacity 1, no. Yeah, it's opacity 1 by default, and the active one is opacity 0.
Yep.
Yeah.
But The
So
transition duration should probably be lower. Let's see.
yeah, so we could have it like 300 milliseconds or so, which is still a bit fast, but or so it's still a bit slow. 150. And something is opacitying the UI articles to 0.
Yeah,
The UI article opacity will not change.
Oh, it's down here, or up here, sorry.
Yeah.
From your original.
Nice. Okay, so now 150 milliseconds feels a bit fast. Let's do 300 milliseconds. And okay, yeah.
And I set up a duration variable, so we can duration divided by 2.
Cool. Yeah, and I also want that to be CIndex1, so it covers up the text.
Oh, yeah, I suppose you could do that. I was going to do a color transition to gold for the text.
Because this way we're avoiding repaints, so it's going to be as fast as possible. This is what's known as premature micro-optimization. And that's what we're doing.
Primo optimizations.
Yeah. Yes, primo optimizations. So with that, we're almost done, and I will definitely explain how we did the flipping slider thing at the bottom. But for now,
hey, that's already done.
Yep, it is already done. Yeah, pretty cool, huh?
I dig it.
Yeah, and it was actually it was really easy to do, which is great. Oh man, that's too much. All right, that's fine. All right, so now all we need right now is the scaling effect, which you're doing.
Yeah, so I've got it plugged in. The way I've got it accomplished is a little wonky. So I have the default state of it as scale 1, and then when it's active, it's actually scaled up, which is probably not ideal.
I think it's ideal. Don't let anyone tell you differently.
Depending on the resolution of your images and how they're getting scaled and squashed and all that. And our thumbnails are actually full resolution.
Yeah. All right, I'm just gonna add a little bit of text to these articles just to make it styled nice. H2.ui heading. If you use H1, you should only ever have one per page. That's just good semantics. That's just a random tip. But Stephen, are you a Stephen with a PH or with a V? I should know this.
That's the $1 million question, isn't it? What do you think it is?
I'm gonna do both.
Stephen. That's my German name. That's what it is.
You. And okay, yeah, I'm just adding like a heading and all that fun stuff. UI heading 0, font size 10. Oh, margin bottom like diagram. Yeah, that looks nice. And font weight, normal. And have like a little. Speaking of naming, I heard that there's something called like a, what's it called, eyelid? You know, like just a little line at the top, but also to describe like small text that sits on the top of something. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I have not heard that. Eyelid.
It's a thing. I promise.
Take care.
Or at least it, yeah. It was a thing at one of my last jobs. So letter spacing 1 pixel. Yeah, that works. I'm happy with that. All right, so checking out the animations. So the thing is, they feel a lot. I'm going to bump up the duration to like maybe 700 milliseconds, just to see how that feels.
I think our easing might need a little bit of work too.
Yeah. So here I'm gonna put the easing right in a CSS or not CSS variable. So the reason I like starting with 0.50, 0.51 is because each of those 0.5s you could adjust to, just have it be the correct feel. So if I wanted it to have more of a tail end, I'll adjust a second 0.5. And so the cool thing about this is, like, let's say you give it a duration of 1 second. It's still going to feel like a fast animation, but one that really tails off at the end. So 0.3, 0.1. See?
Pretty good.
That's better, I guess. Yeah, so yeah, you could definitely play around with those values. Also, you notice that when you resize your screen, that the cuticle at the bottom still, just goes to the correct position.
That is quite nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Do you want to wow, we got this more or less done in under an hour, which is
that
pretty
is
nice.
that is very nice. Let me make a small tweak. Stop the padding here.
Oh, one more tweak. Wait, no. That's fine.
I mean, we can actually style the button. The buttons actually have some cool interactions on them.
Oh yeah, that's true.
When you click the button, it kind of dips down.
You mean the thumbnail or the previous next buttons?
Well, both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So both means that we could have a shared keyframe. Or maybe not a keyframe animation, but like we could do like on active, right? We could just transition that to dip down. But what that means is that each of those images need to be scaled up initially. So I think you gave a bottom padding to the
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
you did.
Sorry about that.
Yep, bastard. Okay.
Well, it needs the top padding there.
Okay, so padding top, what, 1 rem?
0.5.
Whoa.
Yeah.
5 rem. Cool. So we have 4 different padding declarations.
Which, could be consolidated, but
it could be, but it's fine for now. Okay, so Shaw's working on that stuff.
On the buttons, just getting those buttons styled appropriately. Let's see.
Looks nice. Oh, and I'll add keyframes for the, the thumbnail. When you push it down, it should be, yeah. Still trying to wake up.
You're doing great, champ.
Thanks. So the image inside the UI thumbnail, well, let's do overflow hidden, but we're going to scale it just by a little bit. So transform scale, let's say like 1.1. And that way, when we push down on them, oh wait, I overflow hidden it, which I should not do. Okay, just kidding. Okay, so each of these thumbnails right now, I think they're divs, and I think so basically we're clicking the divs. However, maybe they should be buttons.
Yeah.
Let's try that.
Why
Famous last word.
buttons?
So that we could apply the active class to them.
What's the trick for doing that with like tabindex? Whoa. Wouldn't tabindex work on that? Because buttons just come loaded with so many styles.
Oh yeah,
but with
you're
tabindex you can do at least focus. I don't know if you can do active.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think it is tabindex or give it a roll of button or whatever. So let's actually Google this real quick. Active, select a div.
Tabindex equals -1. Chris is saying in the chat.
Does that work?
It should, yeah. That keeps it at its native tab index, but allows it to be selectable, so it doesn't bump it up in the tab order. But
right. I'm just wondering if it's going to work as far as giving us that, so tab index equals, we're going to give it -1. And of course, this is not the best practice, but it's the best practice right now. The best MVP practice.
The best practices are the practices that work.
Wise words from Stephen Shaw.
You can expect more wise words like that at CodeBin Houston tomorrow. CodeBin Houston.
I am excited. Although I'll probably be on an airplane, so I'm not going to be able to watch that.
That's all right. We'll have a recording for you.
Okay, so you are correct. Active does work when you do the tab index of -1, interestingly enough.
Hey,
so that's awesome. Transform scale 0.9. Transition duration, we're going to give this like a really, really short duration. And that's so that it gets to that. I mean, you'll see. The reason I give it a short duration, and one that's like shorter than usually suggested anywhere, like 100 milliseconds, is that when you're clicking or you're tapping with your finger, you're not holding your finger down there for that long. So basically, you want it to get as fast as possible to its depressed position. And so even if you don't hold down your finger for 100 milliseconds, it's still going to get pretty far down there. And that way, it's still going to smoothly bounce up. Yeah. So image transition duration. I'll have it going a little bit slower on the way up. There we go. And of course I have to outline none because it has that ugly outline. Active. This, or maybe I just need it on focus. Okay, so we have that cool little squishy animation for the buttons.
Yeah.
Totally works.
Or is that active?
Yes.
Okay. Active animation.
Cool. And it looks like you got the arrow keys. So yeah, I'm just scaling to 0.9. Have them give a little depressed feel.
And what you can do actually with that instead is scale up the image inside and then scale the image itself down. If you look back at the original animation, it's not scaling the thumbnail, or not scaling the box itself, but the image inside of it. So scale the image up a little bit just for the default state, and then the image itself will scale down. Button squish.
Yep.
Translate Y.
Cool. So I think we're pretty much done. Well, almost.
Yeah. Okay. Gotta add my tab index to the buttons. I'm not getting an active state. Let me see what you did for the thumbnails. And active, yeah. Any idea why I'm not getting active on the buttons? Looking at around line 100.
You are.
I am?
Yep.
Oh, there it goes. Okay. It's just so quick. Okay, cool. All right, what do you think?
I think it's great.
Beautiful. Let me do one tweak to your thumbnails. To transform scale. Scale 1. And then whoa. Don't know why that changed the height of it. Oh,
Yep.
I know why.
All right, enough tweaking.
Sorry. One last.
Oh my god, you made these images huge.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
All right.
Block.
What are you doing?
All right, never mind. I'll tweak that later. Don't you worry.
So squishy. Oh yeah, don't do that because you're doing overflow hidden, which completely destroys the effect. So yeah, trust me, I tried that before too, and okay, so I think we're good.
Okay, I'm missing the squishing. Okay, there it is. All right. All right. So let me get fancy animation queued up here. And we're now moving into Keyflections, a quick review of the techniques used to build this animation. If you have any questions, ask us in the chat, and we'll be happy to answer.
So, yeah. If you enjoyed watching us so far, you can follow and subscribe here on Twitch or YouTube or pledge at patreon.com/keyframers. Links are right down there.
Yes. And if you have questions about this after the fact, when you're watching this on YouTube, ask in the comments. We're pretty active there in answering, or I am at least. Where's the Java, Wizzy? You wanna see the JavaScript? We've got a little bit of that here. No dirty Java. Ugh.
We don't talk about Java.
Yeah.
We've been hurt too much.
Okay, so let's go back to our original animation here that we were basing this off of. Team Profile Transitions by UI8. It's a nice little thumbnail gallery, and you click through to get a nice transition to the next team member. And then we've built that using... Hey, thanks for subscribing, Wizzy. Nice to have you. We've built this using mostly CSS and HTML with just some JavaScript to drive the state here instead of bothering to do all of the input checkbox hacks. So do you want to walk us through our JavaScript really quick?
Yeah, so the JavaScript is just in charge of doing, well, in this case, two things. First of all, we have this send function over here that basically you send it an event, right? And so this is like our typical basic state machine pattern that we've been doing in previous episodes, where in your event handlers, all you are doing is sending an event. And so that's what we're doing here. The best part is that no matter how complex your app gets, these event listeners will never increase in size. they'll never increase in complexity either. You're just sending these events. So on previous, we're decrementing the photo ID, or the by
Photo
one.
index.
Photo index. Looking for the right word. And on next, of course, we're increasing it, making sure not to go over the max or anything like that. Oh, I just realized I did something stupid. Anyway, so it's doing that, but we're also using flipping. Well, all right, so let me describe, first of all, once we change the photo index, we're selecting the correct data key, and we're giving it that data active attributes. And that way we could style it, just like that. So,
Yes.
can I fix my mistake?
And
So
then
no worries.
I'm curious about your mistake.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
It's just I put grayscale on everything instead of just the image.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. So then with our JavaScript down here, these are the actual event triggers for that. So if you click a thumbnail, it's sending the data key attribute that's on the thumbnail. If you see here on the thumbnails. Yeah. And so it sends that to set the active one. If you click our previous or next buttons, it calculates the next one automatically.
Mm-hmm.
So let me talk a little bit about our layout and then transition. So before we've talked about doing layers where you're basically just overlapping all your content with position absolute and top left 0 and width height 100%, and that works fine. There's no particular advantages to that, but you do run into some issues where the parent will not be sized based on the child height. So unless you have really fixed sizes or can just ensure that you've got overflow or whatever, you can run into some issues. So what we did instead of that, let's take UI articles, for example. We set display flex on UI articles, which is this container right here, this nice purple container. And then we have our UI articles set to width 100%. So each article fits this little box, and then margin right negative 100%, so that all of the articles are stacked on top of each other. And then we do this kind of slide down here with our active state. So by default, UI article is off all the way to the left. And then when it's after the current active item, it's off to the right. And then if it is the current active item, it is right where it's supposed to be. So that's what gives you that nice sliding transition. And the same thing is happening for the big image. We've got that same overlapping technique with margin right, and we've got just an opacity transition on top of that with nice slide using that translate X.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I want to talk about the flip technique real quick, just because this was really quick to add. Those cuticles, those, orangey golden bars at the bottom that slide from image to image. So that's not one element. That's actually 6 distinct elements that live with each thumbnail. And so all of these elements have the same data flip key right over here of cuticle. And this is so that we could reference, we could tell flipping like that they should act as the same element. And so the way flipping knows which one's the active one is by whichever one is visible. So if it detects that it's display none, then it's going to be like, okay, that's not visible. So in the JavaScript, we set up mine5 const flipping equals just a new flipping instance. And then when we send each event, and this is what's good about having a centralized event system, we read the cuticle positions, which we actually don't need to do this every time just because they're never going to change unless you resize the screen, but it's good to do there anyway. And the benefit of this is that it works if you're resizing the screen or whatever. It just works magically. And then things change here, especially over here. This is when the actual layouts, or not the layout, but like the visibility of each cuticle changes, and then flipping.flip. So over here, it reads the previous position of the last active cuticle. It takes the current position, and then it does the whole animation, the flip animation from the previous position to the current position. And so that's how we get that smooth effect. And all we had to do was add the data flip keys and flipping read and flipping flip, and we're done.
Yeah, and that works really well for a lot of different UI elements, and can even transition entire scenes and elements of those scenes around. Flipping is super powerful, so you should definitely look into it. I sent the link there in the chat if you are interested in learning more about flipping.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Yuri in the chat asking about center twice. It may cascade correctly, but I like being explicit about that. I sized the big images so that it's using object fit cover while you were talking, David, and set object position center on them. I don't think it needs the duplicate, but it's fine. Okay, and then for our thumbnail transitions, we have down here where the images are filter grayscaled, so you get that nice black and white effect. And then when the active state is happening, you get scale down, so you get that nice responsive. You get that nice responsive feel of clicking the image, which I should actually change that because we did a similar thing with the buttons here, but I did it with an animation. Instead, this could be a transform translate and transition creation like that. Go something like that, and that's what gives us our nice UI thumbnail effect. Do you want to talk about the background for the UI articles and what you did there?
It's just really simple. It's just full background, gold color, opacity 1 when they are being animated away. And we're just taking advantage of transition to do that.
Yeah. And all right. I think that's all. If you have any questions about anything so far, do let us know. But I think we'll wrap here. I'll just click through a few times to show off the beautiful animation. Beautiful. All right. Well, why don't we bring it to a close?
All right.
And you've been watching Keyframers, the animated collaborative coding live stream where we bring imaginative user interfaces to life. If you've enjoyed this episode and would like to see more from David and I, there are many ways you can support us. You can subscribe and participate on the live streams on Twitch at twitch.tv/keyframers. You can also like and subscribe on YouTube at youtube.com/keyframers. You can tweet us and spread the word at twitter.com/keyframers. And you can pledge to support us each month at patreon.com/keyframers.
We do accept submissions for future episodes, so please tweet us at Keyframers with any animations you'd like to see. And of course, continue to ask questions and make comments and all that fun stuff on the air.
Yeah, and if you feel like tackling this same animation and want to throw some
Shows up.
improvements. Right. Throw some improvements our way. We love that. And, just like we covered at the beginning of the episode, there's lots of ways that these things can be tweaked and improved. So we love to see those from you guys. And be sure to share this video and demo once we get it up on YouTube, and get that across the social medias. And that's all for tonight. Thank you for joining us. Until next time, adios and amigos.
Adios.